Morning, everyone. What's up? Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Wednesday, May the 20th. As you can see, overall markets, nice bounce on some of the semiconductors pre-Nvidia earnings. That is, of course, the major news event that we have that is going to be today after market closes. We are seeing a mini relief bounce coming to today. SPY and Qs, we are bouncing off of key levels, of course, on the higher time frames. So we had our weekly lows from last week, and so far the markets are defending those levels. SPY and the Qs both bounced off of our last week's lows, and we're getting a nice reaction. So we'll talk about the game plan kind of coming into market open here in just a second. What's up, everyone? What's up, Kelvin? Salim, what's up, P1? Good morning, Victor, Maria, B Roots. Good morning, Knight, Danny, Michael, Vate, Lamit, Wisdom. What's up, Robert? Francisco. Good morning, Deuce. Good morning, J Tan. What's up, Gerald, Hector, Val. What's up, Todd, Z Norris, Carlos. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me pull up the economic calendar here, and we'll talk about some of the news events that we have coming into market open. And then I'll pull up the earnings calendar here as well. So first things first, as you can see, coming into market open here today, we do have a little bit of red folder news event. That is going to be the FOMC minutes. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time happening later into the session. So that is something to keep in mind. Of course, FOMC statement is the main thing to keep an eye out for. The FOMC minutes usually has a smaller impact on the markets with a little bit more guidance. Usually there's not too big of a reaction during the FOMC minutes. So we're not going to worry about this as much. And then tomorrow, the unemployment that drops at 8:30, and then of course the flash services at 9:45, and then revised consumer sentiment that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's what we have for the news for the economic calendar. As for the earnings calendar, as I mentioned, the main news event that we have coming into market open. Oops, where did it go? As you can see here, today what we have is Nvidia. This is the major earnings that we have. Most of the market now is most likely going to wait for earnings. Currently, we are having a nice bounce pre-earnings, which, as I mentioned, we'll talk about here in a second. But the Nvidia earnings is going to be key. Besides that, there's not too many other major earnings to keep an eye out for. Walmart's reporting tomorrow morning. And that's really about it, at least for this week, that I can see. On the higher time frames, is the voice, yeah, if it is, try and refresh the stream. Might peeping and cracking up. Yeah, is the mic fine, or is there a lot of static? Let me try and reset it. Try and refresh the stream. If it's still doing that, then I guess I'll unplug my mic, see if it works. Mic check, mic check. Can you guys hear me now? Is it better now? Yeah, it must have been either the stream or I refreshed, or sorry, unplugged my mic. So we should be good. If not, try and refresh the stream and we should be fine. That is me, lol. Better now. Okay, perfect. All right, let's talk about the higher time frames. All right, first, let's start off on the weekly chart. So as you can see right here on the SPY, nothing to really talk about here on the weekly time frame, right? Still bullish, of course, above our previous all-time highs. The main thing here was this daily chart. So we kind of talked about yesterday. What's key is our last week's lows. So far, you can see buyers are defending this level here. So if we go into the daily time frame, key level that we have marked out was this higher low on the hourly time frame. I would consider this a higher low on the daily chart, but more so on the 1 hour time frame. So the 732 was a very key level on both the SPY and the Qs. You mentioned if we want to maintain a bullish stance in the markets, we like to see buyers kind of defend the 732 for a potential pushback towards the upside. If we close underneath that 732, that's when we're going to be a little bit more bearish in the markets. But so far, you can see buyers are actually stepping out right off that 732 we talked about yesterday. This is more so a higher low on the 1 hour time frame. And you can see this a little bit cleaner, right? You can see higher lows being built, and right off that 732, which is our higher time frame, higher low here on the hourly. Sounds good. Still break. Yeah, try and refresh the stream. I'm not sure what the issue is, if it's still happening. Can you guys just type one in the chat really quickly? I think a couple of people are saying it's still breaking up here. It's good now? Okay, perfect. Yeah, just try and refresh your stream. You should be good. I'm not sure if it's a YouTube issue today or maybe it's just a OBS or something along the lines. But as I mentioned, the key levels is our last week's lows. So you can see this is our higher low here on the hourly time frame. And so far, nice buyers are stepping in. Nice buyers are stepping in above our 732. Now, what we like to see is the break back above our previous day highs, more so on the SPY time frame. The break back above is going to have this flip back up in towards our 740 and potentially higher here on the higher time frame. So that's what we have on the SPY chart coming into market open. If we go on to the lower time frames, let's just kind of mark out some of the key levels that we have. Number one, we can just mark out that previous day lows, which just happens to be our last week's lows. And other levels that we have marked out here now can be our previous day highs. So these are the exact levels that we have coming into market open. Now what we like to see is the break back above our previous day highs for this move back towards the upside. So you can see every single day so far on the daily chart, or we've had the past 3 sessions, we've had a little bit more weaker closes, and we haven't broken above our previous day highs. Now what we like to see is the break back above our previous day highs, and we can see this flip in the market back up in towards our 740 and potentially our all-time highs here on the SPY chart. So coming into market open, as I mentioned, the game plan today is looking for the break above our previous day highs. Fairly straightforward. The past couple of sessions, we're kind of closer in between the middle of the ranges, or we're leaning slightly bearish, at least for today. After hitting our weekly lows, what I'd like to see here is the break above our previous day highs hold for this continuation back towards the upside, right? 740 and above. So the game plan for me today is going to be fairly straightforward. The break above, hold above our previous day highs, continuation higher. If we come up, reject off our previous day highs, then we can expect a potential pushback down in towards that previous day close. This is also a possible scenario here as well. But after bouncing off our weekly objective, we were having some nice price action here on the Qs. The SMH is bouncing very nicely here as well. So I'd be more interested in looking for, right, the upside, at least on the Qs and the SMH itself. So let's keep an eye out on that previous day highs here, 738 coming into market open. As for the ES, the key levels that we have marked out is going to be that previous day highs here, 7410. 7410 level, that's going to be key coming to market open here today. Break above, hold above our previous day highs, continuation towards the upside. As I mentioned, if we do reject, then I'm going to be a little bit more patient. As I mentioned, the downside has been it's been a little bit more difficult. There's been a couple nice opportunities the past few sessions for some downside, but nothing crazy, right? Just a lot more kind of scalps here and there, just kind of reaction off key levels. We haven't had too much continuation. That is going to occur underneath our previous week's low. The best short, in my opinion, would happen underneath our last week's lows. That's when we can see some more accelerated downside. Before then, I wouldn't be as interested in shorting in between kind of your 738 and the 732. I'd much rather wait for the break above for upside back up and towards our 740 and above. As for the QQQ, fairly similar thesis here. If we look at this on the higher time frames, as you can see for the Qs, the key level that we have marked out this week was our last week's low. So you can see price, nice push towards the upside. Of course, the weekly time frame is bullish. If we look at the daily chart, I would say this is our daily higher low pivot point. It's not the clearest higher low, right? This is a clear higher low, as you can see right here. And then price ends up making a low last week. This is a nice higher low on the hourly time frame. You can actually see this a little bit more clear on the Qs compared to the SPY. But this is actually a daily higher low here as well, which happens to be our last week's lows. So if we go on to the hourly time frame, you can see this a little bit more clear. Nice market structure, higher lows are being built. This is a clear higher low on the hourly time frame, 695. Also our last week's lows here as well. You can see nice buyers that stepped in. We talked about this level being very clear yesterday. So buyers are stepping in now. What we like to see is the break back above our previous day highs, push back up and towards our all-time highs here. So for the key levels coming into market open on the QQQ, what we have marked out, we can just mark out that previous day lows, and we also have our previous day highs, which happens to be our 706. So coming into today, fairly straightforward game plan, same thing as the SPY chart. What we like to see, break above, retest, continuation for a move up and towards our 710, and our 714 is in play coming into market open here today. So let's keep an eye on that break above. You can see the previous few sessions, we didn't really come close to our previous day highs, but today's the first day where we're now going to break above our previous day highs, and we'll see if we can hold above for that pushback towards the upside. If we reject off this level, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be as interested in shorts. Shorts are in play underneath our previous day highs for a push towards the downside, but I'll be very cautious on the short side, as I mentioned. Right, the markets are still bullish, very much bullish here on the daily chart. You can see yesterday putting in a little bit of a lower wick. If we break above our previous day highs, we very much well could see that push right back up and towards our all-time highs. Right, just based off the daily time frame, there's a better chance we gravitate higher than break underneath that previous week's lows and continue back down towards the lows. So let's keep an eye out on that break above our previous day highs hold today for that pushback up in towards our all-time highs. As for the NQ time frame, key levels that we can have marked out today is going to be our previous day lows, and we also have our previous day highs here, which is our 29,150. What we like to see here today, as I mentioned, break above, hold above our previous day highs, push towards the upside. So that's going to be really the only game plan that I'm looking for coming into market open. If we reject, then we're going to be a little bit more cautious and potentially wait for maybe a reclaim later into the session. So coming to market open, the game plan for today, fairly straightforward. We're going to keep an eye on that previous day highs on both the SPY and the Qs. Well, I'd like to see the break and hold above our previous day highs if we do want to see a pushback towards the upside. As for the SMH here, you can see the SMH showing a little bit more strength now. So we're seeing a little bit of a renewed strength here in some of the semiconductors. The past couple sessions, we had some weakness on the semis, but yesterday, the semis bounced the hardest. And now you can see we're moving up nicely in the pre-market on some of these semiconductors. Intel, MU, SNDK, they all bounced off key areas. And now let's see if we can get that push back up in towards our all-time highs. As for the SMH, we recently came back down and filled this daily gap here. So we kind of broke underneath this daily higher low on the SMH, but we came back down, filled this gap, and nice buyers stepped in. So we're kind of setting this daily higher low here on the higher time frames on the SMH. You could set a higher low as long as we're above, right, our 500. Right, for the SMH, it could have came all the way back down in towards our 520, which was our daily gap. It could have pulled a little bit deeper down in towards that 520 and still have been bullish for continuation higher. But so far, we're seeing some nice buyers that are stepping in right off that daily gap, and now we're breaking back above our previous day high. So we broke underneath, but we reclaimed with strength. And now what we'd like to see is the break back above our previous day highs, hold above our previous day highs for this pushback up in towards our 560 and our 564. So key level today on the SMH is going to be this 552 for this potential pushback towards the upside. If we reject off that 552, we could see a push down in towards that 545, which will be a previous day close here on the SMH. So same thing, right? Previous day highs is going to be key coming to market open. So with that being said, I'm going to go on to some tech names that we have here now. If you guys do have any tickers or any charts you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. All right, so coming into market open here, let's go into Tesla. We talked about Tesla on the daily time frame. As you can see, higher lows are being built on the daily. We talked about Tesla. This is kind of our previous retest level, or this general area. We like to see this daily higher low be set. As long as we're above our 360, 370s, so far you can see we're putting in a lower wick here right around this 400 key sec. I like to see a little bit more buyers try and step in now in Tesla for potential move back towards the upside. As you can see, we kind of overshot the level. The retest level that we had on Tesla happens to be our, let me just mark this out once again. It happens to be this right here, which is our 405. So I wanted to see buyers kind of step in a little bit earlier yesterday, but we kind of overshot the level, and then buyers stepped in later into the day. And now you can see we're kind of just right around this 405. So for Tesla, a little bit more neutral. Daily candle did close strong, but based off the past couple of days worth of price action, I'd say we're more neutral than anything here on Tesla. Key levels coming to market open today, we can actually just refine this, is going to be that previous day highs. Fairly clear level today. It's going to be that 406 previous day highs, which also happens to align with our low that we created here from Monday. So if we do want to maintain a long bias on Tesla, bounce play here off that 406 for a potential move back towards the upside. Another possible scenario now above our pre-market highs, room back up in towards our 412. Along with our 415 here on Tesla. So this is going to be the key levels that we have coming to market open on Tesla. I'm not that interested in shorts. Shorts would only be in play if we get back underneath that 405 and we kind of reject off this level for a potential move back down in towards that 402. But so far, leaning a little bit more bullish, of course, with the markets bouncing here as well. As for Nvidia, Nvidia is in a really key spot on the higher time frames. Of course, we have earnings coming into close, which is going to be in the after hours. Nvidia, as long as we maintain above our 215, right? This is our daily higher low being set. This one looks fairly bullish. Right, higher lows are being built on the daily time frame. Another daily higher low being set above that 215. What I like to see is a push back up in towards our all-time highs. At least for today, nothing really to talk about pre-earnings. So we'll just be a little bit more hands-off. But key level is going to be that previous day highs. 225, break above, retest, continuation higher, rejection. We're going to see a pushback down in towards that previous day close. As I mentioned, this does have earnings, so we'll just wait for tomorrow for anything. AMD. So AMD, as you can see so far, we are defending this daily gap. So intraday was bearish. We kind of pushed down in towards that daily gap. And now you can see buyers actually end up stepping in later into the session. And so far, you can see this daily candle end up defending this daily gap. What we like to see now for AMD is the break back above our previous day highs. The break back above our previous day highs, we can see a push back up in towards our all-time highs here. So as you can see on the lower time frames, key levels that we have marked out happens to be our 400. You can see on the higher time frames, we kind of broke underneath, overshot this level, but you can see on the on the 1 hour time frame, buyers end up stepping in, reclaiming back above that 400, and end up having a pretty strong close back towards the upside. Now what we have is this higher time frame downtrend forming as well. So we have our daily gap, which so far we're defending. Now we have this daily downtrend, plus we have our previous day highs. If AMD can break back above, this is going to be key for that reversal here on AMD back towards the upside. So we have our previous day highs. We have this downtrend break forming here as well. We can see it move back up and towards our 450, 470. So AMD, let's keep an eye on that previous day highs. Ultimately, if we do reject off this level, we could see a potential, a little bit more consolidation. If we reject off that previous day highs, right, it would show a little bit less strength. We couldn't break above this trend line. We can't break above our previous day highs. We can see a pushback down in towards that 410. But for AMD, this one, as I mentioned, now this is our first kind of initial pullback after having this nice push higher. So this is our first pullback. So far, buyers are present. Now let's see, as I mentioned, if we can get that push back up and towards our all-time highs. The main thing today is, of course, going to be that Nvidia earnings. So that is something to keep in mind if you're going to trade any of these semiconductors, is that Nvidia earnings is going to play a huge factor, right? If you're trading specifically the semiconductors, I do expect a decent move on Nvidia. And that is definitely going to impact the Qs. And of course, it's going to impact a lot of the semis. So if you're trading AMD, MU, Intel, those ones could see some sort of move based off of the Nvidia earnings that we have in the after hours. As for the key levels that we have coming to market open here, let's keep an eye out on that 425 break above retest continuation. AMD is going to be one of my main watches coming into market open. Once we end up having that reclaim, nice strength yesterday, as I mentioned, but for today, it's going to be the hold above our previous day highs for a potential move higher. If we reject off this area, then I'm going to be a little bit more patient. We could be looking for that higher low here off of our 412, but the best longs, in my opinion, above our previous day highs 425 for this continuation back up and towards our 430 and above. So let's keep an eye on that previous day highs on AMD. Coming to market open, Apple still showing some strength here. I do like Apple a lot on the higher time frames. If we're looking at this on the daily, Apple is really one of the only ones that is somewhat holding up. Currently kind of forming this flat top break here on Apple. What we'd like to see is the break above retest continuation for this push towards the upside. If we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, similar thing, just kind of holding up these higher lows so far. We really want to see that break back above our 300. Now it's that previous day highs for a pushback towards the upside. So let's keep an eye out on Apple. Key levels that we do have marked out is our previous day highs. If we can see that break hold, we can see a push up in towards our all-time highs here today on Apple. So let's keep an eye on that break and retest above our previous day highs. Google, this one was not able to break above this kind of flat top, somewhat of a flat top we're forming. You can see a little bit of rejection 2 days ago. Now we're slowing down just a little bit. We are still building at these higher lows here on the daily chart. But this is kind of your last line of defense for Google for the most strength towards the upside. So I'd like to see it kind of hold above our 385. As you can see, higher low. This can still be a higher low if we can get that reclaim move back towards the upside on Google. If we ultimately break underneath that 380, this is when we can see a potential flip here in the markets. But so far, we're just kind of holding these higher lows. So I'd like to see the break back above, push back up and towards the 400 and above. As for Microsoft, a little bit of rejection right off key levels yesterday. So I like Microsoft for some upside. Showed some strength in the pre-market, but ultimately pretty big daily candle kind of stuffing right at this 430. So for Microsoft, this is a key area, earnings high, multiple touches already, another stuff right at that key area yesterday. So I'd say Microsoft more neutral than anything. The key levels, you can just kind of mark out this, right? 430 here on the higher time frames. Some sellers stepped in right off this level, and now we're right back down in towards the middle of the range. So for Microsoft, higher lows are now being built on this daily time frame, but we need to see, or I'd like to see the break above our 430, hold above that level for the next leg towards the upside. Currently, we're just kind of rejecting, so that's a sign where we're just going to consolidate a little bit more, and we're just going to stay in between this range that we have. So until we can break outside this range, you want to be a little bit more hands off. Meta, really not too much to talk about. Amazon, pulling back a little bit more. Amazon's in a really good spot. So I like this one on the weekly time frame. Keep an eye out on Amazon, more so on a weekly break and retest. If you're keeping an eye out on Amazon, this is our 260. So we talked about the break, now retest. Let's see if we can get that continuation back towards the upside, right? I like to see kind of buyers step in and then slowly push back up and towards our all-time highs. So keep an eye out on Amazon. This is, as I mentioned, the previous all-time highs. This is the area that we broke out from here as well. I think this happens to be close to our earnings key levels. So this is the levels that we have. This is in a good kind of swing position. So for Amazon, key levels that we have marked out is going to be our previous day highs. So what we like to see now is the reclaim back above our 260s for potential move back up in towards our 265 and our 270 and above. So keep an eye on Amazon. The levels, as I mentioned, is going to be that 261. And then for Netflix, this one, not really doing too much as well. A little bit more consolidation here on the daily. So coming to market open, there's a lot of good names that are setting up. I do like a lot of the semiconductors in specific. So as I mentioned, a lot of the semis have been fairly weak as of late, or the past, I'd say week or so, a little bit more weak. But now with some of the semis, some renewed strength yesterday, reclaiming back above key levels, we can be looking for that previous day highs for the potential continuation back towards the upside. All right, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, now I'll go over some for the next kind of 5 to 10 minutes here. I'll go over some more semiconductors, MU, Intel, and a couple other names. If you guys are enjoying this as well, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. All right, let's first talk about MU, and we'll go over like SNDK Intel. Let's talk about this here on the higher time frame. So yesterday we kind of talked about this being the first big daily candle on the daily chart. But as you can see, immediately kind of being bought up. So yesterday we had some nice buyers that stepped in right off key levels, kind of came a little bit lower. We have this down close candle, which is this order block, but nice buyers stepped in and we defended that previous day lows nicely. Now for like MU, SNDK, if you can get that break back above our previous day highs hold, we can see a push back up in towards our, at least this week's high, 750 here. So for MU, the key levels that we have marked out also, right, this is technically a higher low on the daily chart, of course, right? If you're looking at this daily chart, right, higher low could be set, preferably actually around the 650. So right at this general area, right, I'd like to see that daily higher low be set. And so far, you're seeing some nice buyers step in. If you're looking at this on the hourly time frame, right, we kind of broke underneath our major daily higher low, but now we're trying to reclaim back above. So you can see price higher low being built. This is the key level that we have. We actually broke underneath it, but now we're trying to reclaim back above. So if we can reclaim back above, right, the structure is still technically valid here on the daily chart. So the daily higher low is being set. Of course, the hourly broke underneath it, but now the hourly is flipping back above. So if the hourly flips back above, this is a good sign for a potential move back towards the upside. So the key level that we have marked out is simply just our 710. This is, as I mentioned, the area that we broke down from. Or if you want to mark out this kind of general area, this 710 is going to be key. You can kind of even move this higher if you'd like, up in towards our previous day highs now, if you want to refine this a little bit more, up into that kind of level that we broke down from. And then we also kind of have our previous day highs here as well, which would be that 720. So I'm most likely going to kind of refine it to this level here on MU. So now coming to market open, what we like to see here is the reaction that we have off our 720. right? So we have that reclaim now on MU, break above, hold above that 720, continuation back up in towards your 750 and potentially 760 here. If we break underneath our 720, then we're going to be a little bit more neutral and a little bit more hands off. Price can see a push back down in towards that 700. So key level here on the hourly time frame, as I mentioned, now we like to see the reclaim back above. Let's see if we can get this kind of inverse potential head and shoulders now, basing above that 720 for a move back up and towards our 750 here. So that's what we have for MU. Higher time frame, right? Weekly still bullish, daily still bullish. Hourly time frame is actually now flipping back above. So the hourly is trying to flip back bullish. So now let's see if we can go for longs back towards the upside today here on some of the major indices in the semiconductors. SNDK, very similar thesis here. So SNDK was a name that was holding up a little bit more. Daily higher lows were being set. The daily higher low for me on SNDK was 1300. And as you can see so far, buyers actually stepped in nicely right off this level. Now let's see if we can get that push back towards the upside here on SNDK. If you look at this on the hourly time frame, a little bit more cleaner. You can see nice break, retest, continuation. Price came all the way back down, and we essentially defended this level right here. 1300, kind of undershot it, but overall buyer stepped in, and now we're continuing back towards the upside. So key levels, perfectly nice bounce so far. Now above our previous day highs, we like to see this reversal trade back towards the upside. We also kind of have this mini downtrend forming here as well. So this is our previous day highs. Right, this would be a nice kind of retest. Previous day highs along with this kind of downtrend break for a pushback towards the upside. For the levels, we can have marked out. Let's just kind of refine some of the things that we have today. Happens to be our previous day highs, and then we also have our high that we created, a couple of highs from last week. So for SNDK here today, break and retest above our previous day highs, hold for that push towards the upside. Intel, really solid push higher. We had that nice undercut on Intel. Key levels on Intel was our 105, or this like kind of 100 key psych level. This is the first sign of some nice buyers after having really solid push higher. You can see almost every single day, not really closing above its previous day highs. Now this is the first sign of buyers stepping in on the daily chart. Now we're above our previous day highs, hold above our previous day highs, push back towards the upside. So for Intel right now, this is kind of our daily higher low being set here. If we're looking at this on the hourly time frame, kind of similar thesis, right? Key levels that we had on the hourly time frame, we had this higher low pivot point. We wanted to see this level hold. You can see a nice little rejection here a couple of days ago. Now we're trying to reclaim back above. So for Intel, preferably, I'd like to see the hold of this kind of general area, as this is our previous day highs. It's the area that we kind of broke underneath as well. So for Intel, the hold above our 112, right? Kind of have this downtrend that we now are breaking in the pre-market above our previous day highs, right? We like to see it maintain above our 112 for continuation back up and towards our 120 and above. What we don't want to see is like a huge rejection on a lot of the semiconductors, right? That would just kind of send this right back down in towards that 108. A lot of the names, as I mentioned, now we just like to see it maintain above our previous day highs. We could see a break underneath, but as long as we can have a strong close on the daily, right, we can see this push back up and towards our all-time highs and above. So coming into market open for Intel, the levels, let me just refine some of the levels that we have marked out now. It's number one going to be our previous day highs, which we can drag down, which is that 114. So this is the area that we broke down from. You can see a little bit of rejection that we had on Friday. So let me just mark out this exact level. So this is a key level that we have on Intel, 113. And right now you can see we're actually above our Monday's highs as well. So Intel's fairly bullish, gapping up about 4 or 5% here in the pre-market. There's going to be two scenarios for Intel today. We'd like to see number one, the break and retest above our 115 for continuation higher. Another possible scenario, if you see a little bit more weakness, you can see that previous day high retest above our 113 for continuation. So both these scenarios are fine here on Intel. The main thing, as I mentioned, is now just going to be that flip here on the higher time frame. So the flip back above this whole general area, you can mark this the whole general area out on the hourly time frame. Preferably, you can maintain this one more on the hourly, but kind of this another inverse head and shoulders. Now you like to see it maintain above this 112 for potential pushback towards the upside. So Intel and a lot of these other semiconductors are starting to find some nice buyers. Now let's see if we can make that push back above our previous day highs, of course, for that pushback towards the highs. So let's keep an eye out on Intel coming to market open here today. Other names that we have marked out. TSM, a little bit of a pullback, not too much to talk about here. WDC, let's go on to NBIS. This one pulled back recently, but back in towards key levels. So as you can see right here, some of the levels that we have marked out, right? Daily higher lows are still very much well being built on this name. What we like to see now is the break back above, which currently we're trying to do, 195. That's the key level that we have marked out on NBIS. So now we're reclaiming back above. We kind of rejected earlier into the day yesterday. Nice retest, as you can see right off that 195. Now for NBIS, maintain above our 195 for continuation, or now what we like to see, maintain above our previous day highs for potential pushback up and towards our 210 and above. So this is what we have for NBIS coming to market open. As for a few other tickers, let's go over now. This one recently broke underneath key levels yesterday. So we end up having a nice push towards the upside above our 105. Ultimately, pretty big sellers that stepped in yesterday. So nice push. This is our first pullback, but no buyers stepped in whatsoever. Now you can see we're getting a little bit of a pullback here. What I would like to see on this name would be the reclaim back above that 105. That would be key for me for potential move back towards the upside. Currently, we're kind of underneath this 105. If we reject, it could very much well come up, reject off this level, and push back towards the downside. So if you're looking at this on the daily, pretty strong sellers stepped in above that 105. Now, based off this daily chart, it could even actually come back down in towards that 95 at this point. So underneath that previous day lows, you could see a little bit more weakness. The key levels, as I mentioned, previous day lows. And now we also have that 105. For me, the 105 is the key line in the sand. The main levels is going to be just this 105 plus our 95. Right, we either want to see the reclaim back above for a continued push higher, or now it's going to come all the way back down, and then maybe you can see a higher low be built off our 95 for continuation back towards upside. Currently, we're kind of in no man's land on now. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'll go over my game plan here now and then call it a day. As I mentioned, coming to market open, the game plan for today is going to be a little bit more straightforward compared to the previous couple sessions. We're just going to keep an eye out on that previous day highs. So previous day high, break and retest for continuation towards the upside. As I mentioned, if we break underneath, then we're going to be a little bit more hands off. SPY, similar thesis, break above, retest, continuation towards the upside. SMH, we're above our previous day high, so maintain for a push back up and towards our 560 and above. Main watches today, Tesla does have, Nvidia has earnings in the after hours, so we're going to be a little bit more patient on this one. Not looking to trade this. As for Tesla, let's keep an eye on Tesla, previous day high retest for continuation back towards the upside or above our pre-market highs. AMD, I do like this one above our previous day highs for continuation towards the upside here as well. Some other names to keep an eye out for: Apple. If we can get that break above our 300 key psych, we can see this push back up and towards our 303. As for everything else, I do like the semiconductors today. So we've seen some renewed strength yesterday in some of the semis. So let's keep an eye out on MU, previous day highs for continuation. SNDK is showing a lot of strength. Intel, let's keep an eye on Intel 115 retest, or now the retest offer 112 for a continuation towards the upside today. So those are the main watches. Renewed strength in some semiconductors coming into today, or pre-earnings on Nvidia. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And of course, for the SPY and Qs, right, we'll keep an eye out on the previous day high. So Nvidia earnings is tonight. We do have FOMC minutes later today as well. So that's something to keep in mind. We'll see how Nvidia kind of shapes up the market. Be cautious if you are holding any semiconductors. If you don't have like a good entry or a good buffer, be a little bit more cautious, because we are expecting a pretty big reaction. And of course, all the other semiconductors are going to have a reaction based off of the Nvidia earnings that we do have. So yeah, that is going to be it for me today. That is, let's see. Yeah, we'll talk about the Nvidia earnings a little bit more in tomorrow. I'll probably have a midweek update as well on my second channel, so keep that in mind. It's a trading session indicator. It's just the default. Use the 50-minute chart, buy, send. Yeah. All right. That's going to be it for me today, and I will see you guys all tonight. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Peace.